All right. Wynand, can you hear me? All right. Good morning, goeiemorgen to Milan, Kiara, and to my Catalonian friends away. Guys and girls, good morning. The second time this morning we can Wynand. Wynand is a bit of a noisy spot now. There was a car accident on the road down, and he had to walk over to one of the local cafes, and they're sitting there and trying to chat to us from there onwards. Um, just to get back, my name is Jan Viljoen, all the way from Tauranga in the North Island, and we are talking to Wynand. Wynand, see you, okay? There we are. Nice and noisy where you are this morning, eh?
Yes, good morning, Jan. It's crazy. 3 months I've been driving this road. Every morning I'm in the office 6:30, but I don't know. Sometimes it seems like now that I need to talk to you.
Yeah.
So this morning I just pulled into the McDonald's, and hopefully the noise isn't going to be too bad. But yeah, let's do this. 30 minutes. Let's go. Hopefully we could have a conversation that is useful to our audience.
Yeah, let's pick up where we stopped last time. Wynand is
Yes.
the author of a book, and we'll send we'll give you the link in the down below as well, so you can follow that as well. Wynand, tell us a bit more about adapting to New Zealand and struggling. And let's carry on where we left off last time.
Yes. So Jan, yeah, great to be with you again this morning. And I think last week I shared a bit on our journey and guess some of the pressure points we faced when we first came to New Zealand. We thought we were going to get a job offer pretty easily. That obviously didn't happen. But I guess fast forward 2.5 years later, I've now I'm in the fortunate position. I started September last year as the new executive director at Family Life, and basically, where Family Life exists to help marriages succeed, exists to bring inspiring and encouraging resources wherever people are in their marriage. We always like to say that your marriage, you often you don't wait until your car is broken until you take it in a tune-up, right? You take your car for a tune-up every year. In New Zealand we talk about a WAF, warrant of fitness. So we often say, in terms of marriage, you want to take your marriage for a WAF every year, really.
Right.
So we, I guess, great opportunity to work, and that the work I do now aligns with the work that I've been doing back in South Africa. But obviously, it hasn't, it wasn't an easy journey to get to this point, and maybe we can touch a bit on that this morning, and something that could be of use to your to the listeners out there this morning is I'd encourage you guys to throw the questions out if you've got any questions or anything that you might be facing in New Zealand, going through that immigration process at the moment. I'd love to talk about just dealing with that pressures that immigration can have on your marriage and as a family. So, Jan, I guess tell me, have we got any questions that's come in so far?
So far, it looks like we've got a bit of power outages there in South Africa, and everybody just say hi. I think the big question would be, we have a bit of a problem with the sound not being that great, but that's fine. We can work around that. It's not that bad. The big question from my side will be, what is the signs that you have a problem? I mean, if you drive your car, you see smoke coming out of the exhaust, wow, or the lights come on. What is the lights in your marriage that make you decide you need help?
I guess sometimes it helps to define a word by looking at its opposite. So when I talk about relationships and marriage, I always talk about connection. Can mean a lot of different things. It can mean to be connected to the internet, which is what we're trying to do in a McDonald's this morning. It can be connected, just basically connected to a group of people. But I guess in a marriage, when we think about connection, I want to think about the opposite, which is often connection. So when I'm disconnected in my marriage, we often don't see eye to eye. We don't feel safe in the relationship. I don't feel that I could be vulnerable and talk to my partner about, I guess, um, failure in some sense, because our connection isn't secure. So when you talk about the red lights, the indicators, I'd say, if in your relationship you don't feel like you have um, the freedom and the space to talk openly about pressure or difficult situations without, I guess, being afraid that the other person is going to snap. I
Oh,
guess
yeah.
we often take out our stress and pressure on each other
Yeah,
in
especially
difficult
on your loved ones.
situations. Um, but I guess I wanted to maybe, I guess in the work that I do, and especially in the weekend seminars that we present at Family Life, we don't focus so much on, problems and red lights and, be careful for this, and I mean, useful things to have. But I guess with my background as a coach, I I often steer away from conversations that talk about how wrong things are, or hey, you need to fix this. For me, it's all about, how do you design the life that you want? How do you design the marriage that you want? And so often, I guess, just having something so attractive and having a goal and a dream that you're working towards, if you have that and if you're focused on that, I've just found that people often, that helps sort out the difficulties and the red lights much easier, rather than saying, oh, I've got this problem, now I need to go and see a counselor. And you only see a counselor when things are broken, which is probably not, it's not, definitely not always the case.
That's right. That's right. I also think starting off with a marriage that's got a problem in South Africa is probably not the right way to go around with it. Is that right?
Can you just repeat that question, Jan?
If you got a marriage in South Africa before immigration and it's got problems, it's got cracks in, it's probably not, the immigration is not the right thing to do.
Well, let me tell
Not
you,
gonna heal itself.
immigration will test your relationship. Like fire, like gold gets refined fire. I know for my wife and I, we actually grew a lot closer during this immigration process. It wasn't easy, and there were challenges. But I think, as I alluded to last week, we made a conscious decision that we are going to prioritize our connection. We're going to prioritize, hey, we're a team. So any pressure that we face from the outside world, we're going to look at, how do we pull together to face this pressure together. Um, I guess there were times when we tried to blame one another for difficult situations, but we soon realized that's not a fruitful conversation. Um, I mean, things get pretty real when your savings start running out, and um, at that stage for me, it was, my wife was enrolled in studies. She didn't really have an opportunity to work. I had to come home and find work. So we and I didn't find work in week 1 or week 2 or week 3 or week 5, for that matter. It took a good nearly 2 months before we got our first opportunity. And during that time, I guess there's this pressure of, hey, I need to go out there, I need to go and find that opportunity. But at the same time, the fact that I come home with an unsuccessful application, or with feedback that I haven't heard back, every day we get closer to the end of our allocated time, the pressure rises, and the temptation is there to start blaming and shaming and attacking one another. But what made the difference? Because, I mean, in that time, what you need more than anything when you're searching for a job, or when you're going through this process, you need support. Okay, and home needs to be the place where you find that support. And I mean, there was one I can clearly recall one day when we had a conversation, and I told Alray, look, I know you're stressed out. I am too, but I actually need some encouragement here because it is real. It is difficult for many people. I guess other people find it easier to find work. Our situation, I was very entrepreneurial back in South Africa, which doesn't amount to too much when you're searching for a job. People are looking for a specific job track, but yeah, definitely those challenges that come. It's about making a decision of saying, hey, I'm going to prioritize my relationship. I'm going to prioritize our connection, and I'm going to offer support rather than trying to make the external enemy an internal enemy.
Okay. And I mean,
is that helpful? Does this actually sound helpful?
And if you hold each other's hands, it's just a better front that you put forward, and the ability for man. I think of myself. If I need to go out to the job place every day, and every day I get a no, I mean that could be it could bring your ego, your self-worth down to zero, within a quick time.
Yeah. So I mean, your self-confidence really takes a big knock with something like starting over in country. So it is a challenging process. I guess I see one of the comments come up now. Someone says go on date nights, get a care worker to look after the kids. You can't always run away and face problems. Make something good of a bad situation, and that's an attitude. That's a winning attitude right there. You won't always have the ideal situation, but it's how do you prioritize your relationship in that situation. I often take the approach when I work with couples, I often encourage them to think of themselves as a team. Now, for many, this is common knowledge, but for many people, this is actually a foreign concept. So, if I work in a team in a job environment, right, it's easy to understand. Yes, we need to do team building. Yes, we need to spend time. We need to communicate. We need to respect one another because we want to work together to achieve something, right? It's common sense in the workplace. But ultimately, as a married couple, you're a team.
That's right.
And you're a team that said, hey, we want to do life together. We want to go through life together. And so in a job setting, it's easy to have that mindset. But why don't we apply that mindset at home? So when things get tough in the office, we pull together and we jump in, roll up our sleeves, and make sure that we make the client happy, right? in the work environment. So in the marriage environment, you need to roll up your sleeve and make sure that you meet the external demands together as a couple. People often say it's 50-50. Marriage is a 50-50 thing. It's not. Marriage is a 100-100 thing. You're 100% in, and your partner is 100% in. It's not if I'm
that really. There's no compromise.
Yes, and if you don't have that mindset and that attitude, and maybe in your your previous role, or back in South Africa, things have been fairly comfortable. There hasn't been a lot of pressure, but let me tell you, pressure doesn't cause issues in a relationship. Pressure reveals the issues that are already there.
Okay.
So actually, I just want to repeat it because saying that actually, I like the way that came out. But I'm often a verbal processor. So pressure doesn't cause issues in a relationship. Pressure actually reveals the issues that are already there.
That's right.
And for many of us, I know, that's my heritage as a South African. Us, I guess, male South Africans, and this is just stereotyping. We don't like talking about, our feelings or dealing with issues. We just, brush it off, get up, move on, toughen up and move on. So I guess with that approach, we don't often drill down to actually dealing with those little things that, are causing frustration. And when you're removed out of your safe environment, out of your home environment, out of things that you're comfortable with, your support network, you actually need to deal with those issues, because the two of you are all you have. For many people, if you do this as a couple, yeah. So I guess the it's definitely a mindset thing, and the biggest challenge we've seen in the work that we do as well at Family Life, it's really not difficult to help couples in terms of giving them resources, giving them tips, giving them things that can make the relationship work better, or more smoothly. That's not the issue. That's easy as. We've been doing it for years. There are tried and tested principles that work. The difficult part is getting someone to the realization that, hey, I need to want to make this work. I need to want to put the effort in to go that step deeper in our relationship, to actually say, hey, we're not just flatmates. We're not just, in this because rent is cheaper when we stay together. And, we actually need to be intentional about saying, hey, how can we make this better? Now, making things better is useful when you've, got problems and you think that, hey, you might be asking yourself, do I even love this person anymore? Is this really the person I want to be with? Then you've got space to make things better. Or if you're in a great space and you're enjoying life and you're enjoying each other's company, and guess what? You've got space to make things better. So wherever you're at, there's always the opportunity to make things better. And what we've seen over the years at our Weekend to Remember marriage getaways, people come in all different shapes and sizes and from different areas, whether they feel like they're at their wits' end, or whether they feel like, hey, we're doing great. People always leave with hope and help and encouragement that they can make things work wherever they're at.
That's right. And I think a big thing that people miss, people sometimes think we are the only people on the planet that has got this problem. There's people around you don't even know about them that's got exactly the same problems that you are facing. And I mean, I've faced them in my life. I've had difficult times, as you have had difficult times, and as everybody else has had difficult times. It's how you get through these difficult times that defines your future, basically.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you the point that I want to pick up on that you mentioned is other people have dealt with this before. You're definitely not alone. And I've found often when I'm struggling with something in my personal life or in our relationship, there's that fear element of being exposed. I'm a failure for struggling with this, or my marriage is a failure, or who am I as a husband for not being able to deal with this. So there's that fear of failure. But the moment you actually bring that out in the open, you realize that people start putting their hand up and saying, hey, we've had the same thing, and it becomes a joke and it just diffuses the situation. But the important thing is having the courage to say, hey, we're working through this.
That's right.
Or having the courage to say, catch up with friends that you trust, or if you don't.
All right, Wynand, we've lost your voice a bit there. I don't know why. So I don't know why we've lost Wynand's voice there, but all right. What when I speak to when I speak to people, and a lot of times I say to them, guys, if you are down the dumps, if you are down here in New Zealand and you've got a problem, remember you're not the only one. You're not the first person who gets homesick. You're not the first person who feels just to pack up everything and go back home. So if you are in that position, reach out. I mean, I'm not a psychologist and I do not want to be a psychologist, but somewhere along the line, either myself or somebody else, somebody like Wynand can lend an ear and say, I just want to listen to you. And sometimes just by speaking out your problem, you get an answer even in yourself. And from there on, you're back on track and you can really make a success of your life. But you've got to reach the point where you reach out to people. Wynand, can you hear us? Let us see if we can hear you again.
Okay. Can you hear me again? Yeah.
Can you
see me again?
The McDonald's.
Fantastic. Hey, yeah. Look, it's funny. Hey, it's 3 months I've been driving in the office by 6:30, but for some reason this morning and last week, it's crazy. It's like, something inspiring to not allow us to have this conversation, and I think it's really good. I see some of the comments come up. People saying, "Hey, really love this this topic." So yeah, let's keep going as much as we can. One thing that's probably worth mentioning, and I guess maybe you can shed some light on this, Jan. Maybe you've dealt with a couple, but I guess the saddest thing for me is seeing people come to New Zealand, go through the effort, start a new life, and then 2 or 3 years down the line, separate. They're both here.
That happens a lot, eh? Sad. The stats there is very high.
That happens a lot, and it is sad, right? I guess what I'd say to that, and what I'd want to comment on is, is it worth it? Like, nobody said relationships are easy.
Yeah.
And if you've gone this far, would you rather do some work, make it better, or are you at the point where you just want to throw in the towel?
That's right.
I always say I'm too lazy to start over, so I'll stick with my relationship, because we've done a lot of work to get where we are. I mean,
married 25 years, mate. It's even worse then.
Yeah, I'm too lazy to want to try over and try, go through all those insecurities that you deal with initially in the relationship, and it's just not worth it. But I guess not everyone thinks like I do about this, and that's fine. Maybe you feel enticed. Maybe you're talking to someone else that maybe you feel your partner doesn't really understand you and understand the pressures that you're dealing with, and you're always fighting, and that say, hey, I'm just done. I don't want this. And there might be a colleague at work that they're always nice, they always smile, there's a bit of flirtation going on there, and that seems attractive, that seems like an option. It seems like, hey, why do I have to put up with constant complaining at home where there are people out there showing interest? I don't know if I want to make this work. I mean, that's the I guess the hook, that the alluring hook, that it seems enticing, but tell me, or let me tell you, the grass only seems greener on the other side because there's more dung. There's more dung on the grass. Someone actually said that one of our speakers at our Weekend to Remember always talks about this. He says, the grass, if the grass is greener on the other side, maybe it's time to water your own.
That makes sense. Yes.
Yeah.
I'm married for about 23 years now, and I can promise you, I'm still learning new things about my wife. Probably you probably say the same as well.
Absolutely. I haven't been married for 23 years yet, but going strong, getting there. But I think Jan, I love your attitude and the way you phrase that. I'm still learning new things about my wife, and marriage is this beautiful relationship, this beautiful interplay between two people where we love and respect each other. We've committed to spending the rest of our lives together.
That's
Now,
right.
I mean, the person that I married 5 years ago is not the person that I spend every night with today. People change throughout our entire life, throughout our journey in life, and I guess for me, I've seen that the most successful marriages, well, 23 years, point in case, Jan, right there. The most successful marriages are those that, people that are constantly curious, staying curious about your partner. Hey, what can I learn about my partner? What can I learn? How can I be a student, of my partner? Study them. What makes them tick? What would make their day? What would give them a lift?
That's
And,
right.
study, be curious, see what will give them a lift, and go out of your way to make that happen for them. I mean, how would that make you feel if your wife comes home, or when you come home, and your wife, has done something that you didn't ask her to do? She's just looked at, hey, Jan likes this, let me do something for him, or vice versa, you do something completely out of character or what you've usually done, because you've made the effort to study her and find a way to, I guess, woo her.
That's right.
I guess we make a lot of effort trying to catch the person of our dreams, or trying to initially get married, and then often people don't make the same effort later on in years.
And the problem there is that you get so used to each other that once this other person, your partner, has done something, you sometimes don't see it.
Yes, yes.
That's sometimes my problem as well. I mean, let's talk about me. That's sometimes my problem. She does certain stuff in the house, and I walk in tired, long day, out on the street the whole day, and I just don't see what she's done for me.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm going to put up a banner out there saying, I've done this today for you. No, she's not going to do that. She's just going to shut up and slowly erode on the inside, if that's the right.
And the thing is, if you go on too long not recognizing these things, it builds up maybe a bit of resentment or a bit of callousness in your heart or in her heart, and so I'm on the same journey, Jan, just in terms of, I guess I've learned something about my personality recently. I like to make things better, and I like to find perfection. So I'm always looking at a situation and seeing what would make this even better.
That's right.
But the way that communicates to my wife is, hey, what you've done is not good enough. And I've caught myself saying things like, hey, we need to do this, and then she's like, but did you not notice what I did? And I've actually started falling in the trap of saying hurtful things to her, which is not my intention to hurt her. So the antidote for that, and something I'm being very conscious of in this season of our marriage, is making an intentional effort of just saying, hey, look at what she's done and appreciate her. Just say thank you. Just appreciate her. And it takes 10 seconds.
Wynand, thank you very much. We've come to our end of our time this morning. Time always flies when you're having fun, it looks like. So
yes.
Thank you very much for your time. And I think it's time for the Big Mac now, eh?
Well, let's make the best of the situation, right?
Wynand, thanks a lot. We'll talk again.
Good to talk to you from McDonald's. And just as we wrap up, I'll share a link with you guys if you wanted to check out Family Life.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. get in touch. The book, look, Jan, it seems like your audience is enjoying this topic. So let's see. Maybe a month from now we can talk again. Let's keep in touch. And yeah, I know you said that we're needing to run a competition at some stage and do a book giveaway. So I'll leave that with you. And but yeah, happy to talk. I enjoy having our conversation. Thanks, Jan.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Guys, that was Wynand all the way from McDonald's down there in Auckland. Lovely speaking to Wynand again. We had a bit of an interfering with all the people there in McDonald's, but the sound at the end of the day wasn't that bad. Just keep in mind, while you and your partner is out there and going through this intense journey, this is really intense, and this can absolutely break you at the end of the day. And that's not something that's not the reason why you came to New Zealand. You actually came to New Zealand to enjoy life here with your partner. So start working on those small things, stuff that I remember since we have arrived in the past 2 years. Some of the nice restaurants we were to is still at the back of my head, but I remember a few very nice picnics we had. I remember a few very nice short walks we did, stuff that I did with my partner, or my wife actually, of 23 years. So that is stuff that you can do. It's absolutely for free in New Zealand. You are allowed to go out in the nature and enjoy yourself. So think about it. Small things like that can really spice up your marriage in the long run. And you need to work on your marriage day to day, because this country can really break your marriage apart and make you two different people that you don't know each other anymore. So, guys, all the way from Welcome Bay, my name is Jan Viljoen. Thanks for listening to me and Wynand this morning. Myself and Wynand will pick it up in a month's time or so and see if we can't help any more people regarding this topic. If you are out there and you are really having trouble and you want to speak to somebody, you feel free to speak to me. If you do not want to speak to me or to this ugly mutt, I've got a wife. She's also sometimes listening to people. You sometimes just need somebody to listen to you. All right, guys, that's me. I'm out. We'll see you next Thursday again. And please look on the Facebook page. We've posted some of the stuff that's happened to our candidates. We found, Doa's found work, and then Arlene has let me know yesterday as well that she has found work. So congratulations to both of you that side. On the other side, I'm seeing release one candidate this morning as well, to see where we can touch hands and see where we can go with that. On Zaan's side, this one candidate did find work, so there's still another 2 for him to go. All right. That's all for this morning. Thanks for listening to me, and have a lovely day out there. And in South Africa, stay safe.